has a fundamental issue which we cannot and we must not avoid. And that issue is that of terrorism. Just as, a country has to fix its economic issues, a country has to fix its political issues too. No country is ever going to come out of a difficult situation and become a prosperous power if its basic industry is terrorism.
In our whole neighborhood first policy, there's one country to which you sent me as ambassador or high commissioner to our west called Pakistan, with which we have nothing to do, which we are doing nothing about. So, at this point of time when Pakistan is going through some economic difficulties, do you think this is a point when there can be some kind of rapprochement between India and Pakistan?
Look, obviously it's in nobody's interest that any country, least of all a neighboring country, get into severe economic difficulties. Nobody sensible, nobody mature would even nurse that thought. But it's an equal fact that when any country gets into a serious economic problem, that country has to make policy choices and governance decisions to get themselves out of it. Another country, neighbor or non-neighbor or another institution, others cannot solve a problem if you're not prepared to solve it yourself. So let's be clear on the first point, which is that the solution, this is not a Pakistan point, it's a generic global point. Any country in deep economic difficulties has to come out of it through, what the world can do is to provide options and support systems. But the bottom line has to be done by that country, and often it will require very tough choices. Now, I want all of us to remember, we went through this 30 years ago. So it's not something which happens to other people. It also happened to us. It happened to us not once. It happened to us maybe not with the same severity at various other points of time in our modern history as well. But having said that, the reality of this particular relationship is that it has a fundamental issue which we cannot and we must not avoid. And that issue is that of terrorism. Because the moment you start doing these walkarounds, that, let's find a joint statement which will which will get us agreed language. Let us reach out at this point and see where this goes. That's been the talk of the last 75 years. And look where it got us. So I think we need clarity that, and we mustn't be in denial of what are very fundamental problems in that relationship. And just as, a country has to fix its economic issues, a country has to fix its political issues too. A country has to fix its social issues. No country is ever going to come out of a difficult situation and become a prosperous power if its basic industry is terrorism. So among the changes which need to be made are also changes pertaining to all of that. So I think that remains a very major problem. I also think, as someone in politics, if I were to look at any big decision I'm making, I would also look at what is the public sentiment. I would have a pulse. What do my people feel about it? And I think you know the answer.